all of the ways that Kemi Badenoch is completely wrong about net zero. Going to read into this more from Byline Times, you guys. Let's go. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. This is Reganelite here with an argument piece here from Byline Times with a headline of all the ways that Kemi Badenoch is completely wrong about net zero. Pointing out distortions, inaccuracies, and outright lies is so easy that it's almost a bore, argues Russell Warfield. Guys, while you're here, make sure you hit the like button and share this across social media so others are notified of this video. Now, I know I have some subscribers, some people with their heads in the sand about net zero, and that's all right. You can keep your head in the sand and just think that all the increase in global temperature, the increase in extreme weather, the polar ice caps melting, that none of that is all real. It's all fake. It's all fake news, and yet it's right there in front of you. The facts are staring right there in front of you in the face, and pretty much all the scientists are telling you that this is happening. But obviously, when you listen to your Facebook friends or the one person who's paid by fossil fuel lobbies, scientists or doctors that's paid by fossil fuel libraries to try and claim that net zero is wrong and that the climate change is not wrong, but you automatically believe that person because he's the only person saying it when every single other expert is saying they're wrong. You know, money tends to influence people. You know, when £1 million is thrown your way, you kind of get influenced, to kind of say something different, which is what those scientists who are advocating against climate change are for. And this is exactly what's happened to Kemi Badenoch, guys. Kemi allegedly has been taking money from anti-climate, the likes of oil and gas companies and anti-climate groups, think tanks and whatnot. She's been taking money from them. They've been throwing a lot of money at her, and this is why she's come out with this. This isn't because she believes in climate change, believes in net zero, but she's only going along with this because she's been thrown a lot of money this way. Now, this is very, and this is actually really, really scary. And I'm going to say the word scary actually because before this announcement by Kemi Badenoch as the leader of the Conservative Party, we had both the two main political parties, regardless of how they would get there, both in the acceptance that we need to do more about climate change, and we need to do more transition into green energy. We need to reach net zero. Both parties believed in that. There was skepticism, obviously, in the Labour Party a lot more than the Conservative Party a lot more than Labour. There are those against it. I accept that, but they were never going this far here, which is what Kemi is doing. Kemi is looking to go down the road of what Donald Trump is doing over in America. I cannot stress how bad that would be if we were to completely role reverse the direction that we are going right now with the Labour government when it comes to our energy transition. Should Labour be doing more? Absolutely, but they are still taking us in the right direction. But I can absolutely guarantee you that while our energy bills are going up, and I'm very critical of Labour not doing enough to deal with our energy bills, water bills, council tax, and etc., our bills will go up a lot higher if she was in charge. If she was the Prime Minister, they would get a hell of a lot worse. That is for sure. So let's go read into the argument piece of why Kemi Badenoch is completely wrong about net zero, and she is completely wrong about net zero. So this week, or last week, if you want to preference it, Kemi Badenoch torched her own party's prior stance on climate action, with attention-grabbing speech claiming that hitting net zero by 2050 is impossible without bankrupting the country and driving down living standards. This couldn't be more folly. So here are just a few of the ways in which she's completely wrong. So firstly, it's not impossible to hit net zero by 2050. We're well on our way. Just last week, the government's independent climate advisor published its latest report on the upcoming 7th carbon budget, which offers a detailed, feasible and deliverable pathway to net zero. We have a plan. It's an ordinary transition to clean economy, and we should stick to it. When it comes to bankrupting the country, the OBR has made it clear that delays to this deadline could double the cost. Not least because you'll be dealing with all the wider impacts of hotter well with all the extreme weather events that it brings. Hence, like I said, you'll be paying more for your bills.
On the contrary to bankrupting us, it's the green economy that's driving the disproportionate amount out of economic growth at the moment. The Confederation of British Industry, CBI, recently found that the net zero economy in Britain is growing 3 times as fast as the economy as a whole, and it grew by 10% in 2024 alone. That dwarfs the paralleling growth that we've been seeing in the whole economy for year on end. But I know there's that one person saying, but my mate down the pub says net zero is not real. Well, your mate down the pub is wrong. What about the real economies of actual households? Well, if we stay stuck on fossil fuels, we'll keep pushing more and more families into fuel poverty because it's not homegrown renewables that are sending energy bills sky high. It's the cost of gas. We saw that during the energy crisis which followed the Russian invasion of Ukraine. The generation costs of renewables are a fraction of the cost of fossil fuel, so they'll be bringing down bills for households across the UK. But this year they're going up. We need that to reverse. Going through her words line by line. And by the way, I just want to point out, like, just because the energy bills are going, if the energy bills still keep going up year on year under this Labour government, rightfully so, I'll criticise them. Like, it needs to change. Like, I would have preferred them being frozen. But obviously, they don't fully control the energy market because guess what? It's run by private companies, which is stupid. Going through her words line by line and pointing out distortions, inaccuracies, and outright lies is so easy that it's almost a bore. That is true. The more puzzling question is why is she bothering to do this at all, given that Badenoch is completely out of step with the public opinion of this. Of all the things she has gotten wrong, her political instincts have missed the mark on the biggest margin. This is a great. I also think this is a good way that you can hit the Conservative Party now. When it comes to net zero, you know, if there are any Conservative voters who believe in climate change, who believe that there's a climate crisis, who believes that they want green energy and whatnot, you can pressure these voters to switch away from Conservatives, because saying that your leader is against net zero, is against climate, wants to go down the fossil fuel way, wants to increase your energy bills. You got it right. You got your attack line right there on Kemi, as well as the 14 years of trash that she was under as well. Well, she was a minister, but still, she still has she still was a part of all that regardless. All the available evidence and polling shows that the British public is really supportive of climate action and supports governments going further and faster. So if she's trying to piece together a voting coalition which charts a path back to power, she picked a really odd issue to pick a fight on, because there's really no chance of turning the British public against climate and nature. Yeah, that can change with the power of education and social media. If there's enough of it, people can turn on that. It's really important that we make sure the British public are as educated as possible on climate and nature. It's not just that we really care about it, it's hard-headed economics and pragmatism in an increasingly unstable world. Rolling out homegrown renewables, insulating homes, investing in the new economy, all this will cut the cost of living, create jobs, strengthen our energy security, and build a better Britain. That's why people support Ian Badenoch is wandering off into the wilderness as she carries on bagging the drum for such fringe and unpopular positions. Plenty of Conservatives have their heads in their hands, because it was them who put the 2050 target into law as recently as 2019. Just 3 years ago, the then Secretary of State for International Trade gave a speech which praised the opportunity and growth offered by the clean energy revolution, touting it as a future-proofing force that will help us create a better tomorrow. That Secretary of State went by the name of Kemi Badenoch. See, I told you. The most obvious reading of Badenoch's intervention this week is that she wants to woo reform voters back to the Conservative Party, throwing some anti-green red meat. However, it's true to say that when reform voters are the only set of voters with more people who oppose the net zero target than support itself, although even then it's still not a majority, it's way down the list of issues that they care about, with immigration being the dominant concern by a country mile. And it somewhat ignores the fact that Conservatives have shed votes in pretty much every direction to every party, not least 64 seats to Lib Dems, whose voters are not known for their stringent climate denial. Appealing to an extremely fringe part of the electorate with this desperate attention grabbing did result in a few of the right-wing broadsheets dealfully splashing Badenoch on their front pages. But the suppression of political polarisation on climate represented by the billionaire-owned legacy media shouldn't be allowed to distort the reality of the public opinion. In the real world, away from Badenoch's fantasies, the public consensus around acting on climate remains rock solid. And let's hope it remains rock solid indeed, because there will be people who will try to tackle this. There are already, even though you're not hearing a lot about it, there are many powers, people with a lot of wealth,
who are building up groups to try and bring down, try to take down the net zero. Obviously, the oil and gas companies are there, but there are other groups and organisations against, like, anti-LGBTQ organisations looking to infringe on the LGBTQ rights in the UK. There are those who are looking to infringe on women's rights when it comes to abortions in the UK, even though they're super strong and they're very popular. There are always those who, with money and wealth, who are looking to damage and harm British society, and these people have influenced Kemi Badenoch. They have thrown money at her, and she has switched over because she has been influenced by huge amounts of influx of money and donation. That's why she has done this. Another argument that people I think is also worth adding as well to this as well is that the Conservative Party as well, I think it's also fair to say that since obviously they lost the election, the amount of donations that the party has had has run up dry. They've had to make serious cutbacks as well. So maybe it's not so much just this money going straight into her pocket, but also going down the anti-net zero, going down the anti-climate, obviously gives them money from these parties as well, because perhaps down the road, if the Conservatives come back into power with the intention of going against net zero, this could be really, really bad for us, not just the UK but the world. Yes, of course, we don't produce as much emissions as the US and China. I totally expect that position. That doesn't mean to say that we still shouldn't be doing our part. But what do you guys think? What do you guys make of the Conservative Party's now position again against net zero? That is Kemi Badenoch's position. Is that really the party's whole position? Let me know your thoughts and more on this down in the comment section below. If you found this video informative or interesting in any way, shape or form, please hit that like button, share it across social media, subscribe if you haven't already. Hit that join button down below to become a YouTube member. For as little as 99p, get you access to some extra perks and some other goodie stuff as well. You can also join the Patreon or Rumble for exclusive content on those platforms as well. Thank you all so much for watching, and I hope to catch you all very, very soon.